Yesterday, Sayadaw explained that among the 3 types of Kilesas defilements, gross, medium, and refined, Sayadaw explained the second one, Prayuthana Kilesa, obsessive defilements, how they can arise and how one can remove Prayuthana Kilesa by Samadhi Khanda concentration group. In abandoning Prayuthana Kilesa, obsessive form of defilements, by Samadhi Khanda concentration group, it is not like refraining from Vitikama transgression by the practice of Sila. In removing Prayuthana Kilesa, obsessive defilements, one prevents and cures by practicing. And it is how the Buddha had guided. One should prevent and cure Prayuthana Kilesa by being mindful. By being mindful, even though one comes across desirable objects, greed will not arise. Even though one comes across undesirable objects, anger will not arise. Having mindfulness, greed, anger cannot arise even though one meets desirable and undesirable objects. In case Viriya Sati Samadhi, effort, mindfulness and concentration becomes weak, when they become weak, defilements can enter, and one should cure it right away by mindfulness. Prevention is better than cure. It is better to prevent fire before it breaks out. And if the fire breaks out, one should put out the fire immediately. In the same way, one should prevent Kilesa defilements from arising. And when the defilements arise, one should remove it right away by being mindful. If one does not want Kilesa defilements, if one does not want Prayuthana Kilesa, obsessive defilements, to arise, one should be noting presently arising object as soon as it arises. When noting the presently arising object, one should not be noting sluggishly, but one should exert ardent effort in the practice, pushing the noting mind towards the object. One should exert effort so that the noting mind will reach the object of meditation. In noting the object, one should not be noting in cold or sluggish or lazy way, but one should be alert, active to note the object. As soon as the object arises, one should note it right away, and the mind will stick onto the object. The mind will fall calm and collected on the object. When the mind falls calm and collected on the object, samadhi, concentration, will develop. And when samadhi, concentration, develop moment by moment, concentration will become stronger and stronger. When mindfulness When concentration arises continuously, moment by moment, then the mind is guarded, protected. The defilements cannot enter. Even though one comes across desirable objects, greed will not arise. Even though undesirable objects arise, anger, aversion will not arise when the mind is concentrated on the object of meditation. At the moment the mind is calm and collected on the object, there will not be wish to kill others. There will not be any thoughts about wanting to kill others, wanting to torment others, or wanting to take other people's belonging by force. There will not be wrongful thoughts about sensual pleasure. There will not be wanting to lie or deceive others. There will not be wish to take intoxicants. When one exerts effort in the practice, mindfulness, sati, develops. The mind will be calm and collected. There will be concentration, samadhi. And the objects that are being noted will not be kilesa bhumi. It will not be the field of defilement. Instead, when the mind is calm and collected, the object that has been noted will be samatha bhumi, the field of concentration. And when one develops knowledge, the object that has been noted will be panya bhumi, the field of wisdom, the field of knowledge. When one develops knowledge, understanding the impermanence, suffering and non-self, when one understands these characteristics by developing knowledge, the object that has been noted will be Vipassana bhumi, field of Vipassana. If there is no practice of Vipassana, there will be defilements arising, and priyuddhana kilesa, obsessive defilements, will manifest in the mind. If one lacks Vipassana practice, the person's nama and rupa, psychophysical phenomena, will be where the kilesa defilements arise. It will be kilesa bhumi, the field of defilements. By lack of Vipassana practice, the defilements arise. At times there can be lobha arising, at times dosa arising, at times there will be moha arising, and thus his or her nama rupa, his or her mentality, materiality will be the field of kilesa defilements. When one is noting the presently arising object, exerting effort in the practice, even if knowledge does not arise, when noting, when being mindful of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and so on, greed will not arise even though one meets desirable objects. Anger, aversion will not arise even though one meets undesirable objects. Instead, there will be alobha, there will be wholesomeness associating with non-greed, and there can be adosa, wholesomeness associating with non-hatred. So one has to accumulate wholesome mind, one by one, moment by moment. In accumulating such wholesome mind, there should be continuity of these wholesome mind. In order to accumulate wholesome mind, one should be noting the presently arising object continuously. Mindfulness should be continuous. Succeeding mindfulness and preceding mindfulness should be continuous. And when the objects arise continuously, mindfulness should follow continuously so that preceding mindfulness and succeeding mindfulness will be continuous. The mind will be calm and collected on the object. There will be Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration. Momentary concentration should also be continuous. There should be no gap in between the concentration. When concentration is continuous, the concentration builds up stronger and stronger, and thus the mind will not be overwhelmed by nirvana hindrances. When the mind is not overwhelmed by nirvana hindrances due to the strong Khanika Samadhi, there will be vimukti, deliverance. The mind will not be attacked. The mind will not be overwhelmed by the nirvanas. So the bhavana citta will become strong, and the mind will not be agitated. The mind will not be attracted by the objects, and thus the mind will be calm, steady, firm. The mind is kept calm and steady by momentary concentration. Momentary concentration can keep the mind calm and collected, just as the absorption concentration can keep the mind calm and clean. So it is said in the text that the momentary concentration can keep the mind calm and collected in the way absorption concentration can do so. So the teachings are not from imagination, but these teachings are from experience of practice. When the yogi gains this experience of practice, the yogi will understand through his or her experience. Sayadaw gives the example: when one takes nutritious food, one's materiality will be fresh, healthy, and the body also becomes healthy. In the same way, when one develops spiritual vitamins, which are Saddha, Viriya, Sati, Samadhi, and Panya, faith and confidence, effort, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom, the mind becomes strengthened, energized. The mind that is strengthened by the spiritual vitamins of Saddha, Viriya, Sati, Samadhi, and Panya will become mature, and the mind will be developed, cultivated, and the mind will become healthy. When the mind becomes developed, cultivated, and healthy, one also gains happiness. So while yogis have the opportunity to practice meditation, Sayadaw has been explaining how each of the notings are very precious. So Sayadaw has been explaining that each of the notings are precious according to the teaching. So Sayadaw says it is not his teaching, but it is the guidance given according to the teaching of the Buddha. So Sayadaw encourages that the yogis practice according to the guidance given so that their practice will be effective and successful. The Nama Rupa phenomena, they are dukkha satya, the truth of suffering. In order to discern dukkha satya, one needs to develop samadhi khanda concentration group. By developing samadhi khanda concentration group, one discerns the nama rupa, mentality and materiality, which are dukkha satya, the truth of suffering. Without developing samadhi sikha, without developing concentration training, one cannot discern dukkha satya. Among the causes for the arising of knowledge, the proximate cause is samadhi concentration. Concentration is the proximate cause of knowledge. When noting the object, when the noting mind falls calm and collected on the object, samadhi concentration is developed. Samadhi concentration is the proximate cause of knowledge. When practicing Vipassana, one should be noting the presently arising object. Concentration develops and one discerns the true nature and the characteristics of impermanent suffering and non-self. When the objects arise, one should note the objects continuously. The mind falls calm and collected on the object and concentration develops. And in order to develop concentration, one should be mindful of these objects. By being mindful of these objects, there will be sati, mindfulness, and also concentration develops. In order to note the object with sustained mindfulness, one should exert effort in the practice. Exerting effort in the practice, mindfulness will be sustained on the object. Viriya, sati and samadhi, effort, mindfulness and concentration make up samadhi khanda concentration group. Without the sufficient samadhi khanda, without the sufficient level of the concentration group, knowledge cannot arise. And if the samadhi khanda concentration group is not continuous, it will not be strong. So the word nirantara, meaning that the preceding concentration and succeeding concentration should be continuous without any gap in between. Pavata mana means continuous, like a stream of current. The noting mind should fall calm and collected on the object, moment by moment, continuously, just like a stream of current. And bhavana citta, developed mind, should also be continuous. The bhavana citta, developed mind, one moment of developed mind itself will not be strong. But when they are continuous, it will become strong. Sayadaw gives an example. A rope is made up of small fibers. Each of the fibers alone are weak and can easily break. But when these fibers are entwined together to make into a rope, the rope becomes strong. In the same way, each moment of concentration will not be strong, but when they are continuous together, they become strong. So there should not be any gap between the concentration. If there are gaps between the concentration will be weak, it will not be strong, it will not make strength. So when the concentrations are continuous without any gap in between, it will become strong. So viriya, sati and samadhi, effort, mindfulness and concentration should be continuous without any gap in between, so that it will be strong. Atano sandane puna puna citta janeti. Sandana is the continuous arising of the psychophysical phenomena such as seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and so on. So in one's life, in the sandana, the continuous arising of the psychophysical phenomena, one should cultivate wholesome mind. Puna puna means repeatedly. One should repeatedly initiate, develop wholesome mind that is made up of the mental factors, viriya, sati and samadhi, effort, mindfulness and concentration. When wholesome mind is continuous, it will become stronger and stronger. And one should aim one's noting mind towards the object. When the noting mind is concurrent with the object of meditation, one discerns the true nature, one develops knowledge. It is not the kind of knowledge gained through thinking, reflecting. It is not the kind of knowledge that one gains from the teacher, and it is not the kind of knowledge that one gains by reading books, but it is the direct experiential knowledge. By knowing, discerning through one's experience of practice, one discerns dukkha satya, the truth of suffering. By discerning the dukkha satya, one also removes the origin of suffering. It is two at a blow. By discerning dukkha satya, the truth of suffering, one removes lobha, greed. Greed is the origin of suffering. So by discerning dukkha satya, one removes lobha, one also removes samudaya satya, the origin of suffering. When it is said that the samudaya satya, the origin of suffering, is removed, it means that one does not give chance for this tasna, craving, to arise, and thus one removes samudaya satya. When one discerns, one also removes ignorance, not knowing the truth or knowing wrongly. In this way, avijja, tasna and upadana, ignorance, craving and clinging, will come to a momentary cessation. Based on avijja, tasna and upadana, unwholesome deeds arise. But when avijja, tasna and upadana, ignorance, craving and clinging, come to momentary cessation, the deeds that are leading to further assistance will not arise. When deeds that are leading to further existence do not arise, there will not be resultant. There will not be any resultant. In this way, in each of the noting samadhi khanda concentration group is involved. Panyamaganga wisdom group is involved. And also there is Chetana Sila. Sila khanda is also involved. So in each of the notings, there will be 8 factors of the path. And these 8 factors of the path involved in each noting is called Pubbabhagamagga preliminary path. So when the yogi is noting, there will be discerning the dukkha satya, truth of suffering, removing tanha, craving, which is removing the origin of suffering, and also there will be momentary cessation of avijja, tanha and upadana. There will be momentary cessation, and also one is developing the preliminary path. So each of the notings are very precious. In each of the noting, one discerns dukkha satya, removes the samudaya satya, origin of suffering. One realizes momentary cessation, and also one develops the preliminary path. So it is 4 at a blow. So each of the notings are very precious. In discerning the truth, one removes craving. If one fails to know the object, one will not be developing the 8 noble paths. Failing to know the object, one also fails to develop the 8 noble paths. And also there will not be momentary cessation. So one should understand that by being mindful, one is discerning dukkha satya, one is removing samudaya satya, one is realizing momentary cessation, nirodha satya, and one developing the 8 noble paths. Understanding the preciousness of each noting, yogis should make their time worthwhile while they are here, and they should be noting continuously. They should value the practice. They should be noting continuously so that they themselves will become precious by continuously noting the object. By developing samadhi khanda concentration group, one can remove priyuttana kilesa, obsessive defilements that manifest in the mind. But samadhi khanda concentration group cannot abandon latent or dormant form of defilements. Sila and samadhi, morality and concentration cannot abandon the latent dormant form of defilement. When one has mindfulness, one can prevent defilements from arising at the moment viriya, sati, samadhi are present. When viriya, sati and samadhi, effort, mindfulness and concentration are present, the defilements, lobha, dosa, cannot arise based on the object. But if there is lack of mindfulness, if the mind is not protected, not controlled by mindfulness, there will be pamada, negligence. There will be negligence, failure, heedlessness to develop wholesomeness. So when there is lack of mindfulness, the defilements, lobha, dosa, moha, can arise. At the moment sati, mindfulness is present, these defilements have no chance to arise. But when there is lack of mindfulness, the defilements can arise in the mind. Lack of mindfulness, there can be transgression in the mind. This happens because the Kilesas, defilements, have not been uprooted. To uproot latent or dormant form of defilement, sila and samadhi, morality and concentration, cannot do anything. Latent or dormant form of defilement have to be removed by developing Vipassana Panya, insight knowledge, and Magga Panya, path knowledge. The latent or dormant form of defilement that has to be removed by Vipassana Panya and Magga Panya are called Anusaya in Pali. Anusaya means latent or dormant form of defilements. These defilements lie latent in the being so long as they have not been removed by path knowledge. So they are lying latent and dormant. They do not manifest, but when the circumstances are favorable, whenever they have the opportunity, these defilements will manifest in the mind. They can come up any moment whenever they are given the opportunity. So long as latent or dormant form of defilements have not been uprooted by path knowledge, these latent and dormant form of defilements can generate unwholesomeness. So these latent and dormant form of defilements are generating unwholesomeness, so that there will be the arising of these unwholesomeness. Unwholesome deeds arise continuously due to the fact that latent and dormant defilements have not been uprooted. So it is important that one removes latent, dormant form of defilements so that unwholesome deeds will not be generated. So Sayadaw gives an example. In materiality, such as plants and trees, there is potency to bring next generation of plants. In some types of the plants, they are called mula bija, as the potency to grow is in the root, such as ginger. In some types, the potency is in the stem of the tree, which is called khanda bija, meaning the potency to grow, to give new generation, is in the stem. Even though the tree is cut off, but when it is subject to water and air, it grows again. So such kind of trees are in the type of khanda bija. Some of the type of trees, the potency is in the seed. And some of the type, the potency to grow new generation is in the sprout. And some of the trees, the potency is in the where the connection is like the sugar cane or bamboo. So because the potency is there, the tree gives new generation and it grows. But one cannot say where the potency is situated, but based on the fact that it is growing and it is giving new generation, one knows that there is the potency to grow, the potency to give new generation. So when they get moisture, they sprout, they give a new tree because of the potency. In the same way, latent or dormant form of defilement has the potency to generate unwholesome deeds. So long as these latent or dormant form of defilement have not been uprooted by the path knowledge, they can arise, they can come up at any moment when they are given the opportunity. So when they are given the opportunity, these defilements will arise in the form of priyuthana kilesa, obsessive defilement, or videkama kilesa, transgressive defilement. So long as these latent dormant form of defilements have not been uprooted, one can have transgressions in the mind, the body, and speech. And one can conclude that the person has not eradicated the latent or dormant form of defilement. And Sayadaw will continue to explain tomorrow. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.